Guys, good morning. Appreciate you clicking on this. If you're here, I want to bend your ear for a little bit. I want to talk about something that is tough for a small business owner that I never heard about, really. I'll be honest. I know a lot of small business owners and large business owners. And this really doesn't get talked about a whole lot. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit, share my experience I've had this week, the hardship that we've had to deal with, and give some advice. I know when I started this channel, I told you guys that hopefully I could share some knowledge here and there, and this morning's one of those days. We had a pretty bad week this week, and I want to talk about it. So y'all hang tight, and I will work through this, and I will get to a point at the end of this video that a lot of small businesses don't ever talk about, and it's real. It's something that every small business will face eventually at some point or another. So let's quit hiding it. Let's talk about it. I don't mind sharing my experience and giving numbers and giving details. And hopefully somebody can learn and adapt. Maybe I can inspire somebody to not give up. Because this week is the week almost broke us. I was ready to quit. But let's get into it and talk about, let me share what I've dealt with this week as a small business owner. All right, so today is Friday. It's Friday morning. What is the date? It's the 6th, Friday the 6th. So this starts a week ago, Friday a week ago. This was right after the ice storm, and we had been hauling fuel all week. If you guys that follow the channel, you know Josh and I were busy all week hauling fuel, working late into the night. Friday night, we were headed in, and I hit a deer. Deer walked across the road, hit it with my truck. There was nothing I could do to avoid it. Had a trailer full of diesel, and there was nothing I could do. So hit the deer, caved in the front of my truck, tore up my fender, my door, wheel, mirror, got everything. So that was Friday a week ago today. So Friday the truck wrecks. Now I have to deal with insurance companies. That's a joy in itself. But I have a deductible, so I have to pay out of pocket for that deductible to get that truck fixed. And I'm out time getting that truck to a body shop, waiting on adjusters, and just going through the whole process. So Monday morning, I get up, we go to work, no problems, it's a good day. Tuesday, we get up, go to work, no problems, it's another good day. Wednesday, everything went south. I get up, I go to leave, both batteries on my spare truck are dead. It is a diesel Duramax as well. Both batteries are completely dead. So I started the day off. So I get my jump pack, takes a couple tries. I eventually get it jumped off, and I'm able to go to work. I was planning to go to the Big Pond, which is where I went, where our 9530 tractor is at. I was going to get it going and run it all day Wednesday. We have great weather right now. The ground has dried up, and I was about to run that tractor Wednesday, and Josh would jump on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would be back on it Sunday. We were fixing to run it 7 days a week. Well, good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally back on the Big Pond. It has been over a week since we've been here. The ice storm hit on Saturday, a little over a week ago. Josh and I came out here on Friday, the night before, and we tarped the 9530. Couple reasons. I just want to keep the moisture out of the cab, keep moisture out of wiring harnesses. I wanted to prevent any water from getting anywhere that it didn't need to be. And then with the freeze happening, I didn't want water to get into a crevice, get into the cab, and then it freeze and bust something that was important. So we tarped it to keep all the water and the moisture out. So I'm fixing to set up and start getting the tarp off, crank this thing up, check the fluids, and make sure it is good to go. I'll check the tires. Everything looks good initially. Well, I crank it up, fires up, no problem. And I drive 30, 40 feet up to the fuel tank to get fuel. And it starts throwing all the transmission codes. And by the time I get to the fuel tank, it locks down. It goes into safety mode. It basically locks the transmission up, and it will not go in forward or reverse. I get out, check the sight glass, and it's milky. If you guys in construction know, when you see milk and hydraulic fluid or oil, it's not good. When water gets into oil, motor oil, or it gets into hydraulic fluid, it will turn milky. It looks just like milk in the sight glass. So I immediately knew we had a contaminated transmission on the 9530 that had water in it. So I kill it, turn it off, and make plans to drain the transmission fluid. The transmission runs on hydraulic fluid, and it holds about 18 gallons. So I get in the truck, I look at everything I need, I go to town, I go buy $700 of hydraulic fluid, I go back to the shop, get some more tools that I know I'm gonna need. I leave the shop, I've got all my tools that I think I need. I drive the 15 minutes back to the big pond job, start setting everything up. I get under the tractor to get ready to drain, pull the plug, and realize I need a long extension to reach the drain plug. I don't have a long extension in my truck. I have several tools, but that was one of the items I do not have. I get back in the truck, drive back to the shop, 15 minutes, get a few more tools, a few more items that I think I need. I drive back 15 minutes to the job, get back under the tractor with the extension I needed, and pull the plug, get covered in oil, but we're draining the transmission fluid. Let that drain. I run the Milwaukee pump to pump the fluid from the big tub into 5-gallon buckets. I had empty 5-gallon buckets. So I start that process. While it's draining, I get a phone call from the shop. The Traco that I'm sitting on right now, our 210G, the air conditioner quit working on Monday. Had a mechanic come out and check it. They found a hole in the high pressure line that runs under the cab to the condenser. Well, as I'm draining the fluid in the tractor, the shop calls $3,500 to replace the line, replace a few other parts, and get the AC charged back up and get it fixed. We need the air conditioner working in this excavator. We do not like to run it with the door open in these conditions when it's dusty. And the other kicker is I have to haul the excavator to the shop so they can do it in the shop. It's just not effective to do it out here in the field. So now I'm out the money to haul my excavator to a shop. It'll be down for a couple days, $3,500 in repairs to get the AC fixed, and then I have to haul it back out here to the job site. So I get that phone call while I'm draining the fluid out of the transmission on the tractor. Then I start the process of flushing the transmission. So I'm in a system of getting under the tractor, putting the plug back in the transmission, get back out, go around, pour 5 gallons in the transmission, crank the tractor, let it run for 30, 45 seconds, kill the tractor, get back under the tractor, pull the plug, drain the fluid. I do this about 3 times, 5 gallons at a time, just trying to flush the water out of the transmission. It's just a slow process. You're covered in oil every time you pull that plug out. You get covered in oil the entire time. So it's just a mess. So I get that finished up, and I realize I do need to change the filters. Pull the filters. One filter's good. The second filter is foamy and full of water. I had one replacement filter in our building, so I get the new filter, put it on, then I go put 10 gallons of oil in the transmission and start flushing it so that it can catch any more water that's in the system. In the process of doing that, I get a phone call from Josh. They're on another job. They were supposed to take the backhoe to do a job that morning. Well, they broke the valve stem on the rear tire of the backhoe, so they couldn't take it. So they had to take the skid steer. When they get there with the skid steer, they have to spread 2 loads of rock. As they're spreading the 2 loads of rock, anybody with a 333G realizes and knows the bolt and nut is a very poor system on the lower arm of your boom that holds your front carriage piece on. They lost the nut and the bolt came out on the skid steer that holds whatever attachment you have on that skid steer. They lost it. So 2 problems. Now we cannot use the skid steer to finish the job, and we have to find the parts. So they find the bolt and the nut at another parts store. So I have to send a guy from another job to go pick those parts up and send him to the skid steer so they can put it back together. The job that he was on was a bid job. I quoted it for the rock, material, and the labor, set price. Well, now we couldn't use the backhoe because the valve stem broke. Now the skid steer's broke. We got to get it fixed or bring it back to the shop and get the backhoe and do a quick fix on it and take it. That's what they ended up doing. They brought the skid steer back to the shop, loaded the backhoe up, and were able to get a quick fix on the valve stem to get by so they could finish spreading the rock on that job. While David's in the dump truck going to get rock, twice I have set up an account with the local yard there that we get rock from. There's multiple rock yards in our area. This one in particular is the closest. I have emailed them credit apps twice last year to set up an account. David goes in to get the rock. I get a phone call again a few minutes later while I'm dealing with the transmission. The bucket attachment has come off the skid steer. They have to swap equipment out. So now I'm going to lose money on this job. David calls and says, our account is still not set up at the rock yard, and he needs to pay for the rock. So I have to deal with that issue. The office of the rock yard, they try to send me another credit out and want me to fill it out and send it in. I'm covered in oil under a tractor. I don't have the time or the ability to fill out a credit out and submit it so that he can get the rock. Granted, he's already got the rock. He's loaded. He didn't realize this until he went in to pay for it or to charge it to our account. So I had to deal with that. They ended up just letting him go with a load of rock and told me to fill out the credit out for the 3rd time now and submit it when I got in later in the day. So I'm dealing with those issues amongst the transmission problems on the tractor. So now let's jump back to the tractor. I've got the new filter on, 10 gallons in, crank it, flush it, go back, check the filter. The oil looks pretty good when I go to drain it. I checked the filter did its job. It caught a lot more water and a lot more milky fluid. So now I'm out of filters. I'll call the local store because it came from the local store. They don't have any, but the store 30 minutes away in another town has 2 filters. So at this point, I have to shut everything down, load everything back in my truck, and go to the other store 30 minutes away, get the filters, and come back. I decided to make that decision to do that. Well, as I'm leaving, the insurance adjuster is calling about my personal truck that had gotten wrecked. They need directions, they need pin drops, they need to get to my truck, they need to look at it. I'm not at a point I can go help them or even get them into the job site to look at it. I'm headed to another town to get filters for the tractor. I deal with those issues. The adjuster, I get him straight. They say they can look at it without me being there, and they'll do the best they can. That's all I can ask for. So I go get the filters. $450 for 4 filters. I bought 2 filters for the transmission, 2 filters for hydraulic system. So I'm out $450 now, plus the $700 on the hydraulic fluid. So I'm at about $1,100 on that. At lunch, during the middle of the day, a company that I do work for, I work for them as well as other vendors. You have to have an account to work for said company. One of the vendors does not have an account. They typically will bill me, I will add my markup, and then I bill the company. Well, I get 2 emails from the company, sends me 2 invoices from a different customer, says, hey, we need you to pay these invoices because they can't bill direct to us. Typically, that's not a problem, and it's still not a problem. Invoices were $7,500. The fact is, these invoices were not sent in till this week, but they were from work done in October of 25. That's not my fault, but me as a person, I try to make everything right with everybody. I don't care who it is, and I try to make sure every bill is paid before it's due. This was the fault of the other company, the other vendor, because they sent the invoices to said company late, and then they never paid them because they don't have an account. Customer realizes it, or said company realizes it, they send them to me, ask me to pay the other customer, then I'll have my markup and send in my invoices, but I'm 45 days before I get my money. Forgot to mention that came in, I got those emails at lunch. So let's add $7,500 temporarily. I'm out this week on top of everything else that I've had to deal with. On the way back to the job, to the tractor, I get another phone call from the shop. We had took the Peterbilt to the shop because we had a manifold bolt had broken off in the engine, and it needed a new manifold gasket, and I needed the bolt drilled out, tapped, and new bolts put in to keep the manifold from leaking. The shop calls me and informs me that they can do that. They've got the kit, the manifold gasket, they can drill it, tap it, they can get the manifold fixed. They also found the air actuator that controls your high-low diverter and your shifter. That actuator has gone out. So it needs replaced so that we can go from high to low range, or low to high, in our 18-speed transmission in the Peterbilt. They also tell me, which I knew, the oil pan gasket had a small leak. I was already aware of that, and they were going to fix it, which means they had to drain the oil and put new oil back in it. And they found the front main seal is leaking. That all came out to about $4,500 to get everything fixed on the haul truck. The oil leaks are not horrible. They're not bad at all. I told him, don't worry about the oil pan gasket. Don't worry about the front main seal right now. Let's just get the manifold fixed, and let's get the actuator valve fixed on this transmission in the haul truck. That brought it down to about $2,500. So now I'm $2,500 out to get the haul truck fixed, and it's about right after lunch. So I'm out the $2,500 on it. I'm out the $3,500 on the excavator to get the AC fixed. I'm out $1,200 in hydraulic oil and filters, and I'm out my not copay, but my on my insurance, my part of the insurance payment to get my truck fixed. I've dealt with all this, and it's 1:30 probably in the day, and I still don't have anything fixed on the on the tractor, on the transmission. I get back to the tractor, so now I need to I'm going through 2 batteries at this point. I need to start charging batteries. I crank my Honda inverter, can't get it to crank. I work on it. 10 minutes, I finally get the Honda inverter to crank and halfway run so I can charge batteries to keep my pump running on my Milwaukee pump. So it's basically the inverter is messed up. Inverter, generator, you can call it what you want. I believe it's technically a Honda inverter. So now it's messed up. That's $1,000 inverter, not acting right. I finally get it going halfway, where it'll run long enough I can get a little bit of battery charge time. So now this time I have the idea to pull the filter off the tractor, put a funnel under the filter housing, and put 10 more gallons of fluid in the transmission, crank the tractor, and let it just flush the fluid directly. There won't be a filter there, but it'll be a funnel to funnel the fluid down into the tub, catch tub. So I do that to flush that line in that system. I get great, good-looking hydraulic fluid when I do that. So I felt like that was a pretty good win. I had good, clean fluid coming through the filter housing, going into the tub. So I put another filter on the housing. About this time, Josh shows up, and he jumps in to help. Josh shows up. He's helping me. He's in the tractor. He gets a phone call while I'm working on the fluid. He gets out of the tractor and walks up to me. Says, informs me that the operator that was on this excavator out here on this job on the 1950 pond clearing bent the rod on the cylinder on the hydraulic thumb. This is not the first time it's happened. It happened before on another clearing job. It happens. It's just a mistake. It happens. It's not 100% avoidable. I'm not mad at the operator, is my point. It just happens. Since I just replaced the cylinder, because to rebuild it, because you got to replace the rod bends. What happens is the rod gets bent. Well, to replace the rod and the seals, it's about $500 less than just buying a brand new cylinder. So I just did this in about November last year. And it's a $4,000 cylinder. So now we got to add the $4,000 in for a new cylinder on top of everything else that has happened throughout the day. And you got to account for the downtime, which we can still run the excavator. What I mean is the downtime, we have to pull the cylinder off. You got to pull the pins on the thumb. It takes time to get the cylinder off. Somebody has to go pick up the new cylinder, bring it out here to us, and then we have to reinstall the new cylinder on the excavator. That takes time. So that's the downtime I'm talking about. Time involved with the removal and then the installation of the new cylinder. On top of the $4,000 to purchase the new cylinder. And we're still fighting the tractor. So I'm watching the sight glass after that phone call. I just take it in stride. And I'm watching the sight glass on the 9530 as fluid starts to fill back in the sight glass. And as it starts to fill back in, it's milky. Transmission still has water in it. And we're right back where we started that morning. I'm right back where I started that morning. I still have a 9530 tractor with contaminated hydraulic fluid in the transmission. At this point, I gotta make a decision. Do I just keep throwing thousands of dollars of hydraulic fluid at it and filters and keep flushing for a couple days, not counting my time and Josh's time to help me get all this done? So I have to consider a few things. So at this point, we decide to leave the fluid in the transmission and drain the tub. The tub still has oil in it that we're draining into 5-gallon buckets. We're running the pump and the Milwaukee pump quits working. It's running, still has power, but there's no fluid moving. It's not pumping fluid. I haven't even looked at it. I don't know what the problem is. I just know it quit pumping fluid and malfunctioned. Just icing on the cake for the day. We load everything up, leave the tractor sitting, and at this point, I'm kind of done. You know, I don't know what the next move is. I've been hit with a lot, and this is on a Wednesday, and it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We also put 6 new tires on one of our trucks because they were worn out. That was $2,500 for 6 tires this week. And I've got other equipment. We had to put a new backhoe tire. Once we got all that dealt with, and David finished that job, I lost money on that job because it was a hard bid, but with the breakdown on the skid steer, the issue with the rock shop, not having the account set up, holding us up on that, I lost money on that job because it was a set price. And that's not the customer's fault. That's my fault. I'm going to take it on the chin. I'm not going to bill it back to the company or the customer. So I lost money on that. I'm out $3,500 for the AC, $4,000 for a cylinder, $7,500 on this excavator, on this one job. I haven't made $7,500 profit off this job. So technically I'm in the hole right now on this 1950 pond just due to mechanical errors. My truck is broke down. It was a lot, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm pushing, close to a $20,000 loss between the haul truck having to get worked on, excavator having to get worked on, fixed, truck having to get paid for, backhoe having to get fixed, having to pay another customer because they didn't send their paperwork in correctly, losing money on a bid job due to more mechanical breakdowns, out the money to fix the skid steer, new tire for the backhoe, new tires for the truck, one of the trucks. Honda generator, inverter is not working. Something's wrong with it. It was a pretty good lick. Tens of thousands of dollars. All the hydraulic fluid on the tractor, filters on the tractor. And now I have to, at this point on the tractor, I decide, okay, I need to send it to the shop and let John Deere work on this because we need to fix it. We got two problems here. I don't have the means or the capability to get the transmission flushed properly. Or I probably could. It would take me several days and thousands of dollars of fluid. The other problem is water's getting in when it rains. If I don't find the leak where water's coming in, the next time it rains, I'll be in the exact same position. There's really only one place the water could get in, and that's the vent line that comes off the transmission, runs up under the hood of the tractor. I don't have the tools, the knowledge, or the access to get to all that stuff. So I called the tire shop. They send a service truck out the next day. I have to pay them to pull all the outer wheels and tires off the tractor so that it's narrow enough that we can haul it legally. Granted, my haul truck is in the shop getting manifold fixed. So I have to hire another company to bring a haul truck in to load it up, haul it to John Deere so John Deere can fix it. All this is on the front of my mind. I'm now also out the cost to remove all the outer wheels and tires. I'm out the cost to pay somebody else to haul the tractor to John Deere. And now I'm going to be out whatever John Deere is going to charge me, which is not cheap, to flush the transmission properly and to find the vent line and find the leak where water's coming in to the transmission. I haven't even got those numbers yet, but I can promise you that will be thousands and thousands of dollars as well. That was a rough day. I went home and I didn't know what to do. I'm not going to say every day is a win, but some days are. And not every day is a loss, but some days are. I will say I never lost my cool. I kept everything together all day. I got home. And I had to, I had to get off by myself and just relax and sit down and not think. The worst thing you can do when you get into situations like that is make a hasty decision and then regret it. And I know that. So I knew that the best thing I could do was to get home, sit outside of my porch, have a drink, and just clear my head. I came in, got something to eat, and went to bed. For the most part, just went to bed early. I got up the next day, felt better, had a clear mind, and I was able to sit down and start running numbers and start processing everything again and making smart choices. I know this is long. I apologize. I'm getting to my point. My point is, as much work as we do, we're a very solid company. But that day mentally almost broke me. It was a lot. It was a lot to take on. It was a lot to digest. It was a lot to process. I've told you guys before, I'm no quitter. I've never quit anything. But I had to do some serious thinking if the trouble of that day was worth it. Because it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with, a lot to deal with mentally. It's a lot of money to deal with. We do well, but man, I don't care who you are. $20,000+ hit in one day could be a $30,000 hit by the time I get the bill to get everything fixed. And that's a lot to absorb, even for us. That's a lot. That hurts. I do have measures in place. By that I mean, my business, I have a checking account. I have 2 savings accounts. At the end of every month, I put money into both savings accounts. Those accounts serve 2 purposes. One is a quote-unquote repair and maintenance account, because I know running 15 pieces of equipment, you're going to have breakdowns. The other savings account is an emergency account for just the what-ifs, the unforeseens, the things that I cannot see coming. I try to see everything coming, but you still get surprised sometimes. That's what that money's for. And then I have our business checking account. Thank God I've got both those savings accounts. I don't have $30,000 in that account, but I do have a lot of money in that account, and I could absorb a lot of that cost because I have money there, and that's what it's for, is maintenance issues like this. If you have a small business, you have to put some money aside. You can't, I would love to take that money out of both savings accounts and put it in my back pocket. I would love it, because the company operates off what's in the checking. But those 2 savings accounts are there just for scenarios like I had Wednesday. If you're on a small business, you've got to have a fail-safe. We've ran really well for 4 years. And yes, this week was rough. It took 4 years to hit, but it finally hit and caught up. So my advice is basically through all this, if you have a small business, make sure you have at least one separate account, an emergency account, a savings account, another checking account. Put up an account that you can put money in for the what-ifs, the breakdowns, the mishaps, to keep your company up and afloat. If we didn't have that, if we spent every dollar we made and our checking account was just barely getting by, and then we took a hit like this, $30,000 hit, I mean, at that point, some companies are going to the bank. They have to borrow more money and try to get leverage just to pay bills on maintenance. We're not in that situation. I've got money there. I will get through this. We will survive and keep rolling. But I also want you guys to know that don't give up. When you have days like this that happen, and they're going to happen, trust me, don't throw in the towel and quit. You have to remember why you started the company. I had to remind myself why I did this, why I went through all the trouble, all the sweat, labor, time, money I've invested in this company, everything I've gone through to get to where I'm at today. And I didn't think about all that Wednesday when everything was going wrong. I didn't think about all that Wednesday when everything was going wrong. It was the next day when I had a clear mind that I thought about everything that was going on. So I apologize for this being long. I just wanted to share what we've dealt with this week. I wanted you guys to know that are out there watching this, if you're still here, don't quit. Keep fighting and put in some fail-safe measures. Have you a separate account for when the bad days come. You've got to have that to survive as a small business. Small business is hard enough as it is. When you have days like we had Wednesday and things that happened this week, it makes it even harder. So keep fighting. If I can encourage any of you that are watching this still, that are having trouble, man, don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep fighting. Find a way. Sit back. Take a break and see what you can come up with. Guys, I appreciate it. And thank y'all for watching. And I'll get back with y'all running equipment here shortly.